So first up, we're going to have Sarah Stapleton Barrera join us.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, how are you today?
Doing well.
Thank you so much for being here today.
I appreciate you having me.
Yes, absolutely. We appreciate our candidates always participating with us and helping to elevate these issues and educate us both on what your understanding of the issue is and how we can explain more about what's happening in the communities that we serve.
Sure.
So I want to give you a couple minutes first to just introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, great. Thank you guys. Again, my name is Sarah Stapleton Barrera, and I'm here from Brownsville. And I'm a mom of 3, I'm an attorney, and I am not a politician, which I think is something that is needed here in South Texas. So I've got a vision of what Texas could be and should be. And what I envision, at least for our area, is a Texas that takes care of our elderly, a Texas that takes care of our women, takes care of our children, takes care of our LGBTQ community, a Texas that cares about our infrastructure so our people aren't flooded every time it rains, a Texas that takes care of our children's education, parents that don't have to worry about, not going to the doctor or taking their kids or their parents to the doctor because they can't afford health care. I mean, there's so much that needs to be done, and we can get there, and that's the vision that I have. So why am I the person that can take you there and that can do it? A couple of reasons. First of all, for the past 10 years or so, day in and day out, I've been in this county courthouse down here. And so I've been in the trenches with the people, and I see how these good laws help people, but even more importantly, I see how the bad laws ruin people's lives and ruin families and tear people apart. And I've had to be a part of that for the past 10 years, and it's enough. I mean, simply, it's enough. So that's why I'm running. I have a perspective as a mom, as a lawyer, as a woman, that this area just simply has never had. We've never had that to represent us at the state level, and it is far beyond time. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you for sharing that. For anybody who just tuned in, this is Planned Parenthood Texas Votes We Decide Forum in SD27 in the RGB, here with a couple of candidates who are running in the Democratic primary. The current incumbent is Senator Lucio, who's been in that seat for a number of years. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to have any specific moment or specific issues that happened where you were like, this is it for me, it's time for me to run?
Yeah, I started doing research. It's kind of a long story, but I had just finished a 6-month-long death penalty trial. And, with that sort of the case, you tend to do some soul searching. And as I'm doing the soul searching, it takes you down that rabbit hole, and where the rabbit hole took me was, hey, well, what is our state really doing? So then I started researching, and I started, I blindly accepted what Senator Lucio has done for us all these years, or has not done. And once I started researching, I was flabbergasted and could not believe how he's voting on some of these issues. So that was a turning point for me. That's where I was like, oh my God. And then once you realize that no one ever challenges him, was even more of a light bulb. I couldn't believe it. So I was at the point where, look, I can either sit on the sidelines and just let this continue to happen, or not. And I chose to not.
Well, thank you for stepping up to serve and to run for office. It's an incredible sacrifice of time and energy to be able to run. Thank you so much for stepping in. Can you tell us a little bit about how you think your life experience, professional, personal, specifically relates to this position and would make you the best candidate?
Yeah, I mean, I went to law school, studied law for 3 years, and I've been, like I said, day in and day out dealing with the law, constitutional issues, criminal defense issues, family law issues. I've been dealing with the law for the past 10 years. So I have this unique perspective of how it works, how it should work, where it's failing us, and what needs to be bolstered and what needs to be, lessened. So from a lawyer's perspective, I can see how those changes need to be made. Even more so from the female perspective. I mean, like I said, not in all of history, I went back and looked even into the 1800s, where are we on this thing? In all of history, we have not had a female be our senator in District 27. And that's shocking. That's the perspective that we need. So I bring those 2 things to the table.
Great, thank you. And just a reminder for everybody at large, in Texas, women and across the country are 52% of the electorate. So making sure that we're lifting up these issues about women, about young people, about people of color is so critical to this election and every election to make sure that we truly are serving all people in the state and across the country and in our communities. Beatrice, I wanted to give you an opportunity to come in with some questions.
Yes, of course. I definitely appreciate the fact that you've done a lot of your research on our current senator. So you talked a lot about the female perspective and how we haven't had a female be in this position since like the beginning of time. And so tell us about how issues related to reproductive health impacted you personally, because obviously when we talk about the female perspective, we talk about reproductive health.
Right.
But how has that impacted you personally, and what is your understanding of reproductive health?
Sure. Yeah, so like I said, I'm a mom of 3. I've got 3 kids. But every woman, no matter what their situation is, when you find out that you are pregnant and you have these changes happening in your body, there is a lot of thought and fear and feelings and all sorts of stuff that goes into that moment. When I was pregnant with my first child, you've got to look at it from all different angles and kind of figure out, what is the best thing for this entire situation. And someone that cannot have children just can simply not know how they're doing it. And I understand that, people can make, solid decisions and, kind of put 2 and 2 together, but there's got to be, look at Ruth Ginsburg. She says there's got to be a woman every place that there's a decision that needs to be made. And we're not there. In all of South Texas, we're just not there. So yes, having 3 children, I think, gives me that perspective of, and that initial feeling of, okay, I'm pregnant now. Okay, what's next? Where do we go from here? It's almost indescribable.
Yeah, it's definitely important to have that understanding. So, and to build on that question, so you talk about how in your personal life, what reproductive health has been like.
Right.
So in the broader scheme of SC27,
Yeah.
the state, how have you shown support for reproductive health?
Yeah, I've been very close to it in a couple of situations, but just as sort of I'll just give you a short story, but when I was in law school, I got, a very, very close person to my heart called me and said, hey, I'm panicking because I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do and I'm freaking out. So I made a 3-hour drive and stayed with this person for the weekend. We made a list, pros and cons, where are we at? And this person ultimately made the decision to have an abortion. And I was there and I, wiped her face with Kleenex and stayed a couple days and, and made it happen. And, it's the decision to have an abortion is individual to each person, and everybody's going to respond to it differently. But as far as my own personal experience, I've been pretty close to it.
Thank you so much for sharing that personal story. Just for everybody who's watching online, to remind you, we're here at the Planned Parenthood Texas Votes We Decide candidate forum. Sarah Stapleton Barrera is with us, who is a candidate for ST27 in the Democratic primary. On our next question is related similarly to the story that you just shared. And again, thank you so much for sharing those stories. It's really important that we tell stories and that we uplift the experiences that people are going through so that we can destigmatize both abortion, preventive health care, reproductive and sexual health care, and all the issues that are compounded around it. 1 in 4 women in the U.S. will have an abortion, and 2 out of 3 women who have an abortion already have a child. How do you think candidates and elected officials can make it clear that abortion is standard health care, and how can you help destigmatize abortion?
Yeah, first of all, it's got to be included in our insurance plans. The fact that they're ousted out of insurance, and we have to buy separate insurance to cover that, is built onto that stigma, first of all. Second of all, there's got to be more conversations. People unfortunately don't tell their stories, and people, are afraid to put themselves out there, but not because of their own personal feelings, but because of what society has done. And it's been shamed, it's been, put down, and, it's just a matter of changing the narrative, and having those conversations. As awkward as somebody may feel, the more you talk about something, the less awkward it gets.
Thank you. Beatrice, anything that you'd like to add in here?
Yeah, definitely. So when we talk about access to abortion care, I know you said you had a friend in college who you were able to support, right? And so what we know here on the border is that there are a lot of people who don't have the privilege and the opportunity to be able to take time off to seek an abortion. And so what we've seen at the state level is our senators, right, and our state government basically finding very fun and innovative ways to make sure that clinics, Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers aren't basically open to the community. And so when we know that there's so much more that is being provided by Planned Parenthood other than abortion, how can you make sure that if you were to be that candidate who were elected, how can you make sure that our communities here on the border are protected and uplifted in the state senate?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, it has to do with funding, right? So back, I think in 2011, they cut the funding on reproductive rights from like $111 million down to, I think, 38 or something, which closed 82 abortion clinics throughout the state. So I think like a quarter of the abortion clinics were closed throughout that legislative session. Of course, you know, South Texas is included. So when you try to find an abortion clinic, you're looking at, you know, the metroplexes, San Antonio and Austin and Dallas. So these people from South Texas, you know, who don't have money and can't take time off from work and don't have the funds to drive up to Austin or wherever it may be, are up the creek. So you're right, it's simply about funding. I mean, money's there. We just need to allocate it to where it belongs, and that's where it belongs.
Thank you. I have a question specifically about school districts. I just wanted to remind everybody watching on TV that we, on the live stream for Facebook, that we are here with the We Decide candidate forum with Sarah Barrera Stapleton, running for ST27, and we'll have Ruben Cortez up next in just a few minutes. But first, I'm going to ask a question specific about school districts and sexual health education, but I also just wanted Beatrix to maybe follow up with some specific information around, or questions around LGBTQ health care and issues that are happening specific in the Valley. I know you've done an incredible amount of work on those issues, and we'd love to hear more about them in just a few minutes. So following up on school districts and sexual health, which is also related to making sure that reproductive rights is included, as well as making sure LGBTQ people are represented in that. The vast majority of Texas school districts, roughly 83% of them, teach abstinence-only education or nothing at all about sex education, not even abstinence-only. Many abstinence-only programs in Texas suggest that condoms and other contraception aren't effective. They promote dangerous stereotypes about gender identity and sexual assault. They ignore or even disparage the LGBTQ community and ignore or distort information about abortion, which we know is a common reproductive healthcare service that is both safe and legal. And what is your position on the state funding for abstinence-only education?
Clearly, abstinence doesn't work. I mean, look at the situation we're in. We've got to teach these kids. You know, I was actually telling this group the other day that I've got an 8-year-old, you know, she's in 3rd grade, but my 8-year-old comes home and asks me how babies were made, you know, so I said, okay, well, you know, a man has a penis and a girl has a vagina, and that's how it happens, and so it works, right? And so I told my husband, look, this is why we just had a conversation, and he said, well, don't you think she's a little young? And my answer was, absolutely not. If I don't give her this information, somebody else will, and it's gonna be wrong, you know, So yes, I think that children need to know. They've got to be able to call wee-wees and hoo-haws by the real words. They got to, you know, figure out. They've got to learn that stuff young, and it's never too young, and they need to know. And yeah, bottom line, I mean, the kids aren't embarrassed about it. Look, we got 2 kids back here, and they're like, hey, whatever. It's the adults that make it weird. So the kids are fine. They can handle it.
Recently in Austin, the LGBTQ community advocated, the city of Austin was updating their sexual health standards, which hadn't been updated in almost 2 decades, to finally actually include LGBTQ representation in the sexual health education. Obviously, we advocate that sexual health education be available, that is accurate and age appropriate for all communities. So we thought that was an important advancement. We'd love to see more communities be able to take that on. Beatrix, I'd love to open it up for some additional questions that you have.
Definitely. So what we've seen, right, with the current senator is him consistently voting against the LGBTQ community. And so what we saw in 2017 with the bathroom bill, the staffing bill, is very specific marginalized communities being targeted for pretty much no other reason, right? And so other than just just being cool, I believe. And so if you were elected and we were to have another conversation at the state level about something that would include language that would target populations like the trans community, like what would you do to protect those communities, and how would you carry that conversation in a community, especially here on the border?
Yeah, I mean, well, first response is this task force that you guys just implemented here at the city level is, I mean, step one, bottom line, awesome, you know?
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Like in SD27, Brownsville is like the biggest city, so it's very fun now to see how the current senator is going to react to having our community have something like a task force.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
Thank you. For the people who are watching who may not know, I obviously was following the news and was so excited and proud of the work that y'all were doing here, but tell them a little bit about what just happened.
So just this past week, the city of Brownsville, mayor, commissioner, and commissioners voted on approving the creation of an LGBTQ task force, joining other cities in Texas like Austin, San Antonio, Houston, as advisory boards to local municipal government to start having conversations about how to uplift LGBTQ people in our community and prevent issues like discrimination and homophobia, because obviously at the state level we don't have explicit protections for our communities, and so we're really excited about what's to come next. So we just also take a moment to thank our city and our mayor and our city management for joining us in that fight to make sure that everybody's feeling safe and validated in their own community.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really begins young, along with, the educating of our children in the schools. I mean, there's another story about my same 8-year-old. She came home the other day, she said, hey mom, this girl at school told me that she was lesbian. So then we had this conversation about it. But, kids at 8 years old, they're talking about it. So, we've got to be able to teach them at this young age that, hey, these are all these different ranges of people, and, we treat everybody with the same respect, whatever it may be. But it needs to be included in this education that they're not getting at the school system.
Thank you. Well, we are just about at time. I wanted to give you a few minutes to wrap up on everything. Any issues that we haven't covered that you really want to make sure those with us and those watching know about why you're running and what you care about as you move forward your campaign, and if you were to be elected to office.
Sure, yeah. So, basically what I've been telling everybody is that I need everybody to talk to me. I mean, I will tell you that I do not know all the answers and I do not know how to solve all the problems. But that's not what a representative is supposed to do, right? A representative is supposed to be with the people, figuring out what these people need and how to do it. And we need committees. We need groups of real people that know how to deal with these issues that help write legislation. It shouldn't be one person that thinks they know all the answers about everybody's lives writing legislation. It's got to be community involved sort of thing. So reach out to me. I'm open to criticism. I'm open to suggestions, whatever it may be. I just want to be better. So once I'm elected as your senator, things can be better. So really, just reach out to me and help me, because helping me helps you.
Can you remind everybody that might be watching or that is with us of your website and how to get involved?
Yes, so my website is sarahstapletonbarrera.org, but probably the best way to find me is just Facebook. I pass out my little push cards with my cell phone number on it, and people think I'm crazy, but I give everybody my cell phone number. I'm highly accessible. If you message me on Facebook and say, hey, can we meet for coffee? You really screwed up here, or hey, I really need to tell you this, do it and I'll meet with you. I'm not working right now, so all I'm doing is meeting with as many people as possible. So find me on Facebook, call my cell phone, and I'll answer.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Well, we appreciate you so much for being
Thank
with us.
you, guys.